Easter this past weekend. Happy Easter to everyone who celebrated, except for Penny Wong, Joe Biden, and any of those other world leaders who would rather shine the spotlight on the International Trans Day of Visibility than Easter Sunday. Yes, apparently March 31st every year is the Trans Day of Visibility. What is that, you ask? Well, I have no idea, because no one knew about this Trans Day of Visibility until it landed on Easter Sunday, one of the most sacred days, if not the most sacred day on the Christian calendar, and a day that all Western nations commemorate, even if they're not Christian, because you better believe that everyone is taking those public holidays, even trans people. This has to be one of the most disrespectful things I've heard in a very long time. It's an absolute joke that the organizers of the Trans Day of Visibility knew that it was landing on Easter Sunday, and yet they still kept it on that day. And what's even worse is that these leaders, people like Penny Wong in Australia, Joe Biden over in the US, the President of the United States, took time out of their Easter Sunday to put up social media posts, to mention this day in speeches on Easter Sunday. The total disrespect of the day, of the sanctity of the day, is astounding. And I'm not sure about Penny Wong's stance on Christianity or spirituality or religion. And I know that she's a lesbian, so she would definitely align with causes like the Trans Day of Visibility. Even if she doesn't believe in Christianity, in Jesus' resurrection, in God, in everything that Easter is celebrating and commemorating, she should have enough empathy and, quite frankly, enough political nous to realize that you don't mess with Easter Sunday, just like you don't mess with Christmas. And Joe Biden claims that he's a practicing Catholic. Well, he should have been at church on Easter Sunday. He should have been celebrating with his family, talking about nothing but Easter Sunday, if he truly was a practicing Catholic. Because Easter Sunday and the entire Easter week should be prioritized over anything that is going on, especially a Trans Visibility Day. Yet he had to make the point, and I'm sure this was for political reasons, to put out a shout out to the trans people and their allies on that day. It's not a good look, and it just shows his lack of integrity, not just about this issue, but about everything. So I didn't know what the Trans Day of Visibility was. I had never heard about it. Apparently it's been running for 15 years. I have never heard of it once. So the website says the Trans Day of Visibility is an annual international celebration of trans pride and awareness, recognizing trans and gender diverse experiences and achievements. On 31 March, celebrate with gender diverse people all around Australia by sharing stories, starting conversations, and attending events. They've even got the date there. Are we just ignoring the fact that Easter exists now? Is that where we're at in our secular society? Now, I discussed this on my social media and I got a lot of backlash, a lot of support, but also a lot of backlash, which doesn't surprise me at all, because it's at times like these when the allies come out of the woodwork. And their main argument was that the Trans Day of Visibility always falls on the 31st of March. Easter doesn't fall on the same day every year, so it's not like they've specifically come out after Easter. This is not an attack on Easter. It's purely when the Trans Day falls. And to that I say BS. Everyone knows that Easter is around the same time every year. Within about 3 to 4 weeks, Easter always falls on one of those weekends between the very end of March and the end of April. This has been going on for 2,000 odd years, so they can't plead ignorance about this. And the worst part about this is that the trans people, the LGBTQIA plus community in general, have so many days. The complete irony of this entire day of trans visibility is that trans people are the most visible people in our society. They are much more visible than middle-aged white women, than elderly people, than impoverished people. This sector of society have so much attention on them purely because they bring it upon themselves. They do not need another day of visibility. It's almost hilarious and so ironic that they are creating a day of visibility when they're the most visible people in the world. By virtue of the attention that they seek and also by their looks. Now, I'm not hating on trans people. As I keep saying, you do you. If you want to be trans, go do it. Just don't disturb me in my life. But they're not exactly inconspicuous. We all know you're there. We can see you from a mile away. You don't need a day of visibility. You're very visible. Believe me, we can see you. Plus, the entire community has so many days. There's got to be at least one day every month for the LGBTQIA plus community. And then on top of that, there are a bunch of days for trans people alone. How many days does a sector of society that comprises less than 1% of the human population require? Let me tell you. So between the 17th and the 24th of October, we have Gender Fluid Visibility Week. And on the 16th of July, there's Drag Day, which I'm sure many of the transgender community will be partaking in. 17th of May, we've got International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia. I don't even know what biphobia is, but the 17th of May, well, that's coming up pretty soon. Maybe they could have rolled the Trans Day of Visibility into this International Day Against Homophobia. They seem pretty similar. Now, on the second Wednesday in April, it's International Day of Pink, yet another queer celebration day. Second Wednesday of April. Oh, that's coming up in like a week. On the 11th of October, they've got National Coming Out Day because, you know, we have to celebrate opening an envelope now. On the 14th of July, for a week, they've got Non-Binary Awareness Week. That sounds very familiar to Gender Fluid Visibility Week. I'm not sure what the difference is, but they get 2 weeks of the year to celebrate people who don't know what their genders are. Now, on the 14th of July, we've also got Non-Binary People's Day, which falls in the same week as Non-Binary Awareness Week. So I guess they get a day and then also a week. On the 24th of May, which is also coming up, we've got Pansexual and Pan-Romantic Awareness Day. Pan-Romantic, can someone tell me what that is? Because I don't know what it is. Pronouns Day, third Wednesday in October. Then we've got Trans Awareness Month in November. All of June is Pride Month. We all know about that because every day there's some sort of celebration. Then on the 20th of November, we've got Transgender Day of Remembrance. Seems a lot like the Trans Day of Visibility that we just celebrated on Easter Sunday. Then on the first Sunday of November, we have Transparent Day. We're getting really niche here. The 1st of March, it's Zero Discrimination Day. We've also got LGBT History Month. We've got Mardi Gras here in Australia that just happened. And we've also got Wear It Purple Day. Okay, I don't know how many of those I just read out, but there is a stack littered throughout the year. There are a couple right around the corner, which is pretty easy to just combine with Trans Visibility Day. And by the way, I'm not hating on any of these. You do what you want to do. Have all of these months, have everything that I just read out, but why does it have to be specifically around the time that Christians celebrate one of their most sacred days? What do we have on the Christian calendar? We have Easter and we have Christmas. These are the 2 major events that literally last one day for Christmas and then like 3 days for Easter. We have 4 days as Christians, all up, in the entire year that people put aside, set aside, we get public holidays for. It's a time where people can give thanks, to commemorate, to pay tribute, if they're that way inclined, otherwise just spend time with family. The LGBT Brigade have all of these other days and they still want to encroach on the few Christian days that we get. To me, it's at best disrespectful. At worst, it's a conspiracy to undermine Christianity. And that's exactly what Donald Trump said. When Joe Biden came out and celebrated the Trans Day of Visibility, Donald Trump immediately slammed him, and so he should have. The Biden administration put out a release. They said, "We call on Joe Biden's failing campaign and White House to issue an apology to the millions of Catholics and Christians across America who believe tomorrow is for one celebration only, the resurrection of Jesus Christ." She said this was a years-long assault on the Christian faith by the Biden administration. And I do agree. Biden is purely playing politics here. He's trying to be on both sides of the fence. He realizes that America is a very Christian nation, so he's trying to do the whole Easter Sunday thing, but at the same time, he really wants to be woke and he really wants to get the votes of those upcoming Gen Zs. So he's also commemorating this Trans Day, which is a massive mistake. The guy needs to stick with his supposed Christian values and show a little bit of integrity, because right now he's showing absolutely no strength at all. But I mean, this is typical Biden. This is typical Labor Party here in Australia. They want to try and please everyone and they end up pleasing no one. We have all had to be so tolerant of LGBT people, of trans people. It's all anyone ever speaks about. It is shoved down our throat on so many occasions during the year. Christian people have very few days a year that they stop and they take stock. And Easter Sunday is one of them. The respectful thing would have been to move that Trans Visibility Day. But no, this group aren't interested in cooperation, in living harmoniously. They don't care about anyone else's customs, anyone else's traditions or beliefs. All they care about is enforcing and shoving down their agenda down everyone else's throats, even if they don't want it. Lay off sacred days.